Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you the Monday Magic Intuitive Energy reading from my car. It has been a challenging day. The kids are off school for the national holiday, and I have not had a moment of quiet. And so we are escaping to the car, and I am holding my laptop. So you're going to have to bear with me. It's not a ideal spot, that's for sure. But let's get into it. We may have to keep this short and sweet depending on how much my wrist can handle. So as far as the geomagnetics and the Schumann resonance, we've had a really pretty quiet week. I find it interesting because the reading that I did on New Year's Day, I was very excited about how quick the energy felt and how big 2024 felt. And then what was anticipated to be an uptick in energy ended up being pretty much flatlined. And that continued this past week. Pardon all of my shaking. I'm going to try to adjust to see if I can be a little bit more stable here. Um, and it was interesting. It definitely stood out because it was even more of a quiet energy than we would normally have with a holiday season. Usually there is a bit of a lull December 20th through January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, depending on what holiday or what day of the week it falls on and when people get back to work. But this year it's been sort of an extended holiday season or an extended holiday lull, which I was sort of asking about, just this sense of knowing that 2024 is going to be really big. Lots of things are changing and shifting. The world we lived in 2023 will no longer exist after this year or even 25. And I still feel that that's absolutely true, but I didn't anticipate sort of the purging and the rest that was going to be necessary and called for before we dove into that energy. And so that's what we've been in the last 2 weeks. I get a strong sense of just recuperation is necessary, detoxing, cleansing, healing, resting, massive levels of self-care being called for. And it's necessary because if we are not purging and releasing what we let go of or what we are called to let go of, we're going to carry that into the new year. So that makes a lot of sense, as well as the all planets direct. When you have planets shifting from retrograde back into forward motion, you have a bit of a standstill. There's a period before they get going again. We get past the shadow phase where it really feels like we've got momentum again. So having a couple of planets turn direct at the end of the year, beginning of the year makes a lot of sense as well. Um, so as far as, like I said, geomagnetics were pretty quiet. We had quite a few C flares, very few M flares, not much more than that throughout the week. Schumann again was relatively quiet. There was a few days of amplitude. I want to say Thursday, Wednesday, and Monday. But again, we've got global lightning, and that is very common for the southern hemisphere. Again, low level amplitude. So I am referencing my sticky notes here. So usually they would be up on the screen, but not today. So yeah, so also because of the new moon, this also adds to the quietness that when you're in a new moon, the light of the sun is blocked out, the light of the moon is blocked out, rather, and it's a time for planting seeds in the dark. Low energy, low light means low energy. So that also added to sort of the stillness and the quiet that we're experiencing. We're experiencing. Keynote. I really did start to feel it picking back up on the moon, which was interesting for a new moon, which is usually low energy, that the energy started to pick back up on the moon. And then now that we're starting to see the light of the moon again, we are in the waxing crescent moon, if I recall correctly, which is a great time for New Year's resolutions, new goals, new ambitions, setting intentions, planting the seeds for your intentions, starting to take action on those intentions. Many people think that you will establish a new intention on a new moon, which is great. You can do that. But just know that the momentum for that new intention is not going to pick up until we start to see the light of the moon again, which we're in now. So perfect time. Now's a good time to write those new goals and intentions with the momentum returning. we're going to start to see movement towards those goals. Another thing to note too is people set really big intentions for new moons, which is fine. But you kind of want to have those near term, midterm, and long-term goals. Big goals are long-term goals. We want to have near-term goals as well, especially if we're working with the cycles of the moon. You want to set something as far as an intention or a goal that can be accomplished in the next month. There is limitless potential, right? Infinite potential. The creator of the universe lives within us. And so anything can happen, anything can materialize, but it really is about your belief, your ability to get behind it. And if your mind and your body and your energetic momentum is not able to really wrap its head around the fact that we would have to move heaven and earth and literally mountains to make this thing happen, then you're going to have less success in manifesting that. So you really want to get behind something that you can really believe in and you can say, I know this is going to happen for me. Right? So energy is building. This is the time to nurture your dreams and create those goals for the next month before we start to move forward. And then a suggestion, a theme that is coming up for me, things that we are being called to right now, is an understanding of your self-concept. Who are you? What is your identity? How do you see yourself? Is it up to date? Because oftentimes we can get stuck in our identity from the past. I can see myself as the woman who was trying to start a business 7 years ago and who was a struggling startup, which I no longer am. And this is kind of my realization over the last month is I'm no longer a startup. We're a fully thriving business, and to adjust the identity and the self-concept to say I'm a successful businesswoman, right? So we don't manifest what we want. We manifest who we believe we are and what we think we have deserved and earned and all of these things. So really look at your self-concept. What is your identity? How do you see yourself? How do you define yourself? What are the subconscious terms and language running through your subconscious mind as you look in the mirror and you describe to yourself the person that you see? Right? Start to reshape, redefine that self-concept. Choose with intention your self-concept. Choose to see yourself in your highest possible light. Choose to give yourself credit for the things that you have accomplished. Take stock of what you have accomplished. Along with your daily gratitude, we also need to have daily credit, right? Give yourself that pat on the back that says, hey, you've come a long way. You've accomplished a lot. Good things are happening. You have done many beautiful things in your life, and you are a good person who deserves to see yourself as worthy and valuable and established and successful in all these things, right? Then create the habits. Create the habits. How does this new version of you, how do you move through life when you are this new identity? And what habits do you have? What are the habits of the old person? What are the behaviors, the thoughts, the actions that we are letting go of? And what are the new ones we're going to replace it with, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. So as we shift our identity, when we let go of old habits, we're also wanting to consciously replace those thoughts and habits that match the new identity. Really look at what are those beliefs that you're holding on to, right? If I'm a struggling startup, along with that comes instability in income. And that is no longer my identity. That is no longer my truth. And so we really want to be careful and look at, do I still hold on to beliefs that were coming from that old identity? And then look for affirmations, thoughts, thought habits, beliefs that are good to replace, right? So we want to look at the old beliefs and switch them to the opposite new positive belief. And then the best part of all, when you are establishing these new beliefs and thought habits, you really want to look at where's there resistance? Do you have any friction? Do you have that yeah, but moment? If I make the statement, I am a millionaire, is there the part of me that goes, yeah, but right? So look at that. Look at where the friction is so that we can start to work with that, really go within and look at what in me is not quite aligned to that. Where is a misalignment? Because divine timing is alignment. When you are in alignment with the truth of who you are, the truth of where you're going, the truth of what is true for you in this timeline or any other, then things start to move for you. But if you have that friction or misalignment, you're going to have delay. right? So look for the doubt, the resistance, and work through that so that this is how we use our magic. It's pure alignment to whatever reality we are aligning to, right? So, and then of course, what small steps can you take today to move you towards greater alignment with that new identity and that new reality? So like I said, the last few weeks allowed us to purge, to make space for this so that now we're ready to step into this new identity. Our energy is coming back, momentum is returning, things are going to start picking up, especially over the course of this next week. We have a full moon coming on the 25th, which always is high energy. And then also we have the transition of Pluto into Aquarius along with the sun, trining Jupiter and the Uranus and all sorts of fun things. So, and Mars and Mercury are involved. So this is going to be a fun week. There's going to be plenty of momentum. We'll really start to see how this is starting to impact our life around the full moon, and maybe even, within a few days, because sometimes that 3 days after takes time for the energy to really present itself and for us to kind of wrap our heads around um, what has shifted and changed. We're stepping into a new world. The old world no longer exists. And this is interesting because as the light returns, this was completely channeled. It came through. It says, as the light returns, things get triggered like timing on light switches. And I sort of saw the flipping of the doop, doop, doop. And it's like the old world is dead, the new world is coming in, but we're still in the darkness of the new moon. We still don't have clarity. Full moons reveal things. So I'm anticipating as we get through the full moon and those 2, 3 days after, we're really going to have clarity on how things have been shifted. And the visual was just like, someone flipping on the light switches. It's like sort of like an auditorium, right? There's levels and layers of lighting. And as these switches get turned on, we see more and more and more and more. Right. 2024 has the potential to be a wild ride. The visual of a roller coaster came to me when that term came through. Don't be afraid. Never be in fear. Fear never, ever serves you, unless you're standing on the edge of a cliff, in which case it's telling you to back up. But I believe it was a Rumi quote, move, but not the way fear moves you. So really make sure that we are eyes on the divine, staying in love and light. Light, love, light is basically the same thing. And really, if we are creating that and cultivating that personal, intimate relationship with our creator, we will be fine. And there's nothing to fear. Yes, it's going to be cuckoo and crazy and a wild ride, but it'll be fun. And we can approach it with excitement and curiosity. Like, I wonder how this is going to work out. I wonder how this is going to work in my favor, because the universe is always conspiring in your favor, and it's going to be awesome and amazing. So, um, the analogy or the visuals of Alice in Wonderland, Alice going through the tunnel into this new world, and also the Lion Witch in the Wardrobe I watched as a kid too, and that was sort of the visual, was just stepping into this new world. That's really what this feels like, is we're sort of in between. It says, coming out on the other side in the golden age, it will be worth it. So just remembering that everything we're experiencing over the next couple of years, 2, 3 years, I believe, is going to be significant purging. Actually, probably the next 20 years, because with Pluto and Aquarius, we went through the deconstruction of the systems when we had Pluto in Capricorn, but the collective was not aware of all of it yet. And so now, as we go through the next 20 years with Pluto in Aquarius, the collective awakening is going to amplify, and we will come out on the other side in the golden age. And it will be worth it. So ramp up the self-care, really, really, really love on yourself. This is another thing that came up for me, and it ties pretty closely into the identity piece, is I often, well, I have to go back even farther. My awakening started in 2008, and I have been working on self-love that entire time, different layers of it. The way I treat myself, the way I eat, the way I exercise, the way I speak to myself, really focusing on, you have a good heart, you are an amazing person. How do I define a good person? Redefining the rules of how I define a good person, because societal rules of how we define a good person were handed down and adopted inadvertently, unconsciously, and I did not sign up for that. That's not how I define a good person. And so what I just sort of realized in the last week or so was that my identity and the way I love on myself was purely about my personality. I have a good heart. I'm a good person. I strongly driven with integrity, cannot do the wrong thing. Things of that nature, but really I had not embraced my physicality, that I have a birthmark on my forehead. I don't know if you can see it here, but um, it was something that it stuck with me as a kid. I think that my mother had an issue with it as a baby. Who knows? I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but point being, really make sure that you love every single aspect of you, every perfectly imperfect flaw, right? I have a crooked tooth. Yeah, I love my crooked tooth, right? Like I've never said I love my crooked tooth. I'm saying this here. I'm on YouTube in front of thousands of people. Who cares? It doesn't define me. I am still as equally valuable. So really, really when it says ramp up your self-care and love on yourself, look for any misalignment of love within yourself. Where do you have a little bit of friction? Where do you have a little bit of doubt? Where do you have a little bit of that sandpaper feel? And go at it hard, right? I love my birthmark. I'm going to walk around the house with no makeup on all day long, right? I am going to do everything to go out of my way to say there is not a single little thing about me that is bad, wrong, or broken. And so this is leading into the next suggestion is gently cleanse. Gently cleanse your body. So do it gently in a soft way, something that is allowing you to feel supported and nurtured, but also cleansing the body. I did a coconut oil cleanse, just 2 days, just coconut oil and tea, water. I think I might have had a little bit of coconut water as well. But that was soft. I was not starving. I was not hungry. When I got to my breaking point and I felt like, you know what, I can't be patient with the kids because I'm too hungry, I had some food, right? But take the time to clear out both the material and the energetic body. And when I say energetic body, that is your emotional body. Um, I have to clarify there's a difference between your energetic body and your emotional body. But when it comes to clearing your energy, you must also clear your emotional body. Um, Remove emotional toxins. Emotional toxins are any negativity, any self-doubt, any hating on yourself, any um feelings of not being good enough, right? Making your number one priority has to be feeling good. That is the most critical component to manifestation. And if you are a good, kind-hearted person who wants to end human suffering, you deserve and need to have your needs met. You deserve and need to be able to manifest the dreams and desires of your heart, because as you rise, you raise others with you. So the tide rises all boats. So you are not just doing this for yourself. This is not selfish. This is for the collective whole. Clear out so that you can hear the guidance. That's part of the reason why we need this cleansing. We have to be able to hear clearly. To have eyes to see and ears to hear requires we move all of the other junk out of the way. The old world is dead and we are making space for the new world. Get comfortable with the space in between. It's a good place to be. The space in between is no longer an uncomfortable place to be. Nobody likes uncertainty. I have had my struggles with the space in between in the past, but I'm starting to recognize this space as the highest potential. This is where infinite potential exists. It made me think of dark matter. And while dark matter is not technically empty space, that's what the void feels like to me. That's what the in-between feels like, is just infinite potential. And so really, it's kind of like being in the eye of the storm, with every potential swirling around you and not having to reach for the next closest thing just to feel like we have certainty, but to be willing to wait, to be willing to say, I will not settle, that life is conspiring in my favor and I deserve, and the divine wants me to have the desires of my heart met. And so I will call it in with certainty and I will wait for it. I will not settle. So really be willing to be in that space in between, be willing to be in the eye of the storm. It is the safest place to be, and rest in stillness. So here's the cycle: rest in stillness, until you feel that inspired action come upon you. Then take the action, but only the inspired action, and then come back to stillness and then repeat. So make it a practice to keep coming back to that emptiness and that stillness and that space. And then move when you feel inspired to move, not because you're bored or because you're anxious, but because you've been inspired to move. Then go take the action, then come back to rest. All right, that is all I have for you, my friends. My little gush for you is like, look at this freaking snowman. We had probably 36 inches in 2 days. No, I'm sorry, in 1 week last week. At least probably 12, 18 inches in one day. It was pretty freaking nuts. So the trees are covered. It is a winter wonderland. It's absolutely phenomenally gorgeous. Although it is also 0 degrees. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 0 degrees right over there. So yeah, welcome to the Midwest and Wisconsin. Sending you love, my friends, and I will see you on the next one. Namaste.